What's the word, world? It's your man Dawgface Calderon, aka the most dangerous voice everywhere. And I just jumped off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastard. Pow.
Now, since you last sat on the porch, which was earlier this year, your podcasting career has taken off, by the way, bro. What's these last few months been like, man? Being more in the spotlight and everything.
I've been preparing for this for forever. So it's like a bittersweet moment. In my mind, I'm supposed to be where I am now 4 or 5 years ago, based on the amount of work and effort, and based on the amount of networking that I've been doing. But shout out to my man Big D from Mogul State of Mind, who kind of like re-inspired me. Shout out to my man RJ Watkins Jr., hell of a. Shout out to my man Jeff from Real Life, Street Stars, and shout out to Mafi from the Mafi channel. Mafi is, I have 2 managers, Jeff from Real Life, Street Stars, and Mafi from the Mafi channel. Mafi, I met Mafi about 6 months ago. We kind of like mapped out a strategy, and he had been watching my interviews and watching my social media, right? And Mafi said, hey man, you got it. You got everything, man. You are a bigger, brighter, better version, more sincere version of a Charleston White, right? Because that's the standard that people know what I'm saying. Because what I do is, so it's called influencer. So an influencer, a YouTube influencer, is a person who gets interviewed for his perspective about whatever's going on in the world, right? So you have the Charleston Whites, the Jaguar Wrights, you have the Rainwaters, you have a couple of more people who make a living off of being interviewed, the 607 Unks. So you have hybrid people, you have people who have podcasts, but then you have people who, like Charleston White doesn't have a podcast. He just travels around being interviewed about his perspective about whatever going on, no matter how crazy that shit is. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. They pay him to sit down to talk to him about his concept of his perspective or his viewpoints on whatever the case may be. So the highest level of the game is to be interviewed about your opinion, because it's different from me just doing a podcast myself and then just talking about whatever it is. It's a difference between that and then people having enough regard for you. I don't even want to say respect, but people having enough regard for you to believe that you have something to say that would be interesting enough for their audience to gravitate towards. That's a compliment, right? So I'm happy to be where I am right now. My upward trajectory is I'm here now. I'll be in New York in a couple of days. I got content coming out. I have a podcast coming out. Me, Hassan Campbell, and Harlem Legend, we doing something. Just shout out to everybody who's been behind me, pushing me. Shout out to Vlad for giving me an opportunity, because he ain't had to do that, you hear me? And I was already scheduled to be on Vlad before he fell out with Boosie, you know what I'm saying, before he became a public
They're already saying
thing.
You're his new replacement.
That's an insult to me. Because when you look at the kind of conversations that he's had with Vlad had to dumb down the questioning just to get a serviceable interview out this motherfucker. Because if you think about it, people don't watch Vlad and Boosie for Boosie's perspective about shit outside of nigga shit, outside of like the base level urban hip hop shit. What's going on in Afghanistan? What's going on with Maduro in Venezuela? What's going on with the Straits of what's going on with Iran? We don't, if he was to start to talk about that kind of shit, it would come out so clumsy and so retarded that you would turn. I would rather watch Little House on Perry. I would rather watch Love and Hip Hop than to watch this stupid ass nigga try to explain what the fuck going on in the world. No, I would never do that. So I'm just a replacement. I'm not even gonna toot my own horn when it comes to that, but Boosie has a name, so that's why he's important to that space, because he has a name. But when it comes to really jumping into matters of any importance whatsoever, getting into things of substance, that's an insult to me to say I'm his replacement, because, man, you gotta find somebody else. I get it though, but you gotta find somebody else who can string together a coherent sentence to compare me to. This nigga dumb as a box of rocks.
You've been on Vlad twice.
Yeah.
Is there going to be more in the future?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your opinion of going on Vlad's podcast compared to other podcasts?
So when it comes to the world of media, right? So I'm just gonna draw. I'll draw an analogy from the complex list of the most powerful people in. And by the way, there's no way that Off the Porch, as a platform, as meaningful and as significant of a run you guys have had, there's no way, because you've had the best of the best and the who's and the who. So if you're gonna mention, I mean, you guys are the OGs, so that for Complex not to have included Off the Porch, when you look at what, long before there was anybody else that was Off the Porch, all the OGs of this shit at this point. But having said that, being on Vlad is like, this goes for anybody who wants to. I don't give a fuck what nobody say, they lying, bro. If you operating in the YouTube streets or on the YouTube streets, right, you are a lying motherfucker if you say that being on Vlad is not a bucket list thing for you. It's a checklist thing for you, because it doesn't get any higher than that when it comes to interview-based platforms that are from the urban niche. It doesn't get any higher than that, man. Being on VladTV is like the top of the totem pole, and then you work your way down, and that's just the truth of the matter. But I was honored to be there. I had a good conversation with him. The first time I went to Vlad, which was about 3 or 4 months ago, he said, "No, you finna interview me." So I'm one of the few people to have ever interviewed Vlad on his own platform. I think it's only 3 or 4 people outside of me who have done that. Mm-hmm. So when I went in there expecting to be interviewed, and he said, no, I need you to interview me about the All-Star JR situation. So it was supposed to be a segment because I was the one who introduced him to JR. I was the one who put him on the phone with JR. I was the one who put All-Star JR on the phone with Poetic Flacco and Academics, right? So he was like, we need to get this out the way because people were accusing him of getting All-Star JR locked up, or he was on the way to a Vlad TV interview and he got picked up, Vlad set him up. None of that was true. And nobody knows that more, nobody understands that more than me because I was the person who arranged the interview. Mafi called me, I called All-Star JR, and then we all got on FaceTime together. We all had a couple of conversations that led up to his booking. So I was there. So we talked about that, but there is unreleased material because I interviewed Vlad for about an hour. It was more than just the All-Star JR situation. I'm gonna have to call him and ask him where the rest of that footage is.
Yeah, usually he's real quick to roll shit out.
Yeah, but I think the focal point, that specific point in time was about the All-Star JR thing, because that was the hot, but he just get picked up. But I interviewed Vlad for over an hour, close to an hour. And we covered about 4 or 5 different subjects. We covered the Lil Boosie situation. We covered the Ari Spears situation. We covered a bunch of different topics, man. I'm gonna have to ask him where that other footage is at, because I'm gonna need that. Yeah, I'm gonna need that.